draw our attention to another very crucial aspect of the meeting that has taken place between US President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Donald Trump in fact rejected any role of the United States in the ongoing crisis in Bangladesh. This in fact comes as the US has halted all aid to the Bangladesh government that is led by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus. The Donald Trump administration through its donor agency USAID had announced the immediate cessation of all work in Bangladesh. This includes contracts, grants, cooperative agreements and other procurements and instruments which the US undertakes in the country. On that note, let's in fact listen in to what Trump has said.
Well, there was no role for our deep state. It was. This is something that the Prime Minister has been working on for a long time and has been worked on for hundreds of years, frankly. I've been reading about it. But I will leave Bangladesh to the Prime Minister.
All right, there of course we've heard what Trump has had to say. He said that he will leave this to PM Modi. Earlier, of course, Trump had spoken out against the injustices that were being meted out against the Hindus in Bangladesh who are under attack ever since Sheikh Hasina was forced to flee, ever since the Awami League regime had collapsed. Meanwhile, still with us on the broadcast is Manan Dwivedi. Sir, I'd like to rope you in on this. What do you make of Donald Trump's statement? He has categorically rejected any role of the United States in the ongoing crisis in Bangladesh. This, of course, comes after a lot of speculation. A lot of people have speculated that perhaps the US deep state was involved. Of course, a lot of allegations were made as far as Yunus's close ties to the Clintons is concerned. But now, of course, Trump has come out. He's denied any role of the United States in what has taken place in Bangladesh, in the regime change that has taken place. Meanwhile, he has also said that, at the moment he will leave this to Prime Minister Modi to handle. Do you think now with Trump, of course, seizing all sort of USAID work in Bangladesh, do you think now trouble will mount for Muhammad Yunus?
I personally feel that aid diplomacy has been one of the significant facets of US foreign policy and diplomacy. So it is slightly shocking, it is surprising for me as a student of foreign policy and diplomacy that President Donald Trump has seemingly washed off his hands of the trouble or the conflict brewing in Bangladesh. Now, as the culprit has been speculated that the culprit is the deep state, which was led by the political ilk of President Joe Biden. So I think we were expecting that America would take up, or President Donald Trump would take up some sort of cudgels against the kind of anarchy, the pandemonium and the scuffle that is going on, political scuffle that is going on in Bangladesh. I personally feel that India will be concerned about it. And just saying that Prime Minister Narendra Modi and New Delhi should individually and in an isolated manner should take up the issue of Bangladesh with Muhammad Yunus and the protection of its minorities is something which can be amended and leaves a lot of expectations which have been unmet as far as New Delhi is concerned. But apart from this, I would like to say that President Trump is known for his withdrawal winner of foreign policy. If we look at his first term in 2017, and if we look at his first executive orders which he signed on the first couple of days of his becoming the most powerful man on the face of the earth, then at that particular point of time, he declared that America is moving away from the Paris climate conference. He also imposed sanctions on the International Court of Justice, and the International Criminal Court is something where the America is not part of. Trump also expressed the view that America is moving out of the Human Rights Council. So, this kind of a withdrawal and this kind of a drawing back of the Mount Sinai drawbridge, where the Americans are not going to intervene anymore in the economic, military, and diplomatic conflicts and issues and themes all across the world is something which should be rethought. I personally feel can be rethought by the Americans, can be rethought by President Donald Trump, because I personally feel that we are not talking about an American pet poodle and that India is a pet poodle or a lap dog or any other country is a lap dog in the lap of the Americans. But America being the most prosperous and the most powerful nation in the world happens to have a philanthropic duty also. I'm not pontificating here, but in the sense that America needs to provide its security and economic umbrella both in the Asia Pacific and also in the Middle East, where it is doing. Though his talk of bringing in completely owning the territorial, the nature of the Gaza Strip has not been welcomed by the international community, but there have been past reservations and complaints by countries like Japan that America is not doing enough, or maybe President Donald Trump is will have to do enough to really pose a stiff challenge to the People's Republic of China. So I personally feel that this was very much expected, that he might not wash off his hands completely from Bangladesh, but as far as verbiage and loud language or big bang language is concerned, he is definitely going to kind of steer his way clear of the turmoil that brews up in Bangladesh. But I personally feel that limiting the conflict in Bangladesh to the American usurping of the Saint Martin Island, which Sheikh Hasina has complained might be a very narrow view of looking at it, because if Saint Martin would have been co-opted by the Americans, then I think it would have been beneficial for New Delhi. It would have been beneficial to keep a five eyes watch on the activities, the hegemonic, expensive, and the ministrations. I'm using apologetically a word here of China. So I personally feel that though President Donald Trump is saying it from a podium where the Indian Prime Minister is visiting America, but I think America, practically speaking, cannot completely ignore its stakes and the democracy's stakes. And because if we go by the fundamental elements of US foreign policy, then democratization, rule of law, constitutionalism, and an emphasis on the moral values still remains one of the key elements, or one of the key substratums of the American foreign policy. So I don't think we need to read too much into what President Donald Trump has said.
And keeping another, apologies to interject, but keeping another factor, another facet of the security